Hi.
Welcome to Sharing Needles with Friends, episode number 99.
99.
We are one away from the big 100.
What if we just never do it? What if we just never do another one?
Never had a 100th episode?
Never had one.
They stopped just shy of greatness when they quit at 99.
Oh.
We could, and we could always just leave people hanging, even though we have other stuff in the works. We could just leave it all.
We could
behind.
But before we decide that, tonight we're going to party like it's episode 99.
That is true.
And we got a pretty awesome episode.
Was that meant to be a Prince reference?
No. Who's Prince?
Oh man, he's this
I don't know him.
like jazz singer.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, he does this really interesting like Argentinian jazz reggae mix.
I feel like you're lying to me.
No, that's exactly what. Oh, speaking of that, I saw this link today on the internet, as you see everywhere on the internet.
Is it BuzzFeed?
Yes, I think so. It was like the 22 worst tattoos in the world, and there were some good ones.
Yeah.
One of them, though, maybe my favorite, was it was beautifully done. That's the problem. Like, this is my problem with this tattoo. It looked amazing. It was Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
It was his face. And I mean, the detail, the shading, it looked awesome. And underneath it, it said Bob Marley.
Oh.
So they meant to get Bob Marley and put Jimi Hendrix, or vice versa. But either way, and I mean, like, it wasn't two separate tattoos. Like, the name cut into the outline of, like,
see, hopefully someone was just trying to be funny. Hopefully someone just did that as a joke.
I mean, I guess, but there was someone else that had a tattoo that said, "My mother is my angle." So I guess maybe the father is the
by that I mean she's a little bit obtuse.
Obtuse.
Yes.
It was just, I mean, there were a bunch of really bad ones. One of them said, "Never, don't forget."
Never.
Never, don't forget.
I'll tell you what, my next tattoo may say that.
Never, don't forget.
Never, don't forget.
It's like either one would have worked,
yeah.
I guess. Never forget or don't forget. But never, don't forget.
Yeah.
That's a little bit...
I like it.
And then there was
deep,
one that
bro.
said, imagine this, "Only God can judge me."
Yeah.
And it had a reaper underneath it. The way they spelled judge was Juge. Only God can judge me.
Only God can juge me.
Dude, seriously, some of them were like painful. Some of them were like, they got them in places to where like forearm or like somewhere
very
you can
visible.
very see it always. And the misspellings were awful.
I'm going to get "you can very see it always" tattooed on
You can
me.
very see it always.
Yeah.
Just like Twixtagram.
Just like Twixtagram.
You can very always see it almost whenever it comes out. Hashtag Twixtagram.
Never, don't forget, bro. Well, our sponsors for the show, as always, are Vinyl Me Please.
Woo!
And Nothing Too Fancy.
That's right.
Vinyl Me Please is a Record of the Month club.
They are.
Where it's as low as $23 a month. You can get a subscription.
Bam.
Go to vinylmeplease.com and they will start sending you awesome things
every month.
A record you need to have, a cocktail recipe that goes along with that record nicely, and a piece of art.
And that's awesome. What more can you ask for?
Nothing more.
Unless you're a jerk, what more could you ask for?
Nothing.
Exactly.
And I believe right now you can still get the 3, 6, or 12-month Christmas gift membership for someone.
So you could give the gift of music for this holiday season, as you should.
You should.
And, maybe, you know what? A really good idea would be to get someone for their for Christmas that would really start their collection off.
A stocking stuffer?
Well, maybe. But see, I had this idea the other day when I was talking to someone at the record store that they were buying like 3 or 4 records and a record player. Because their boyfriend has wanted to get into collecting records.
Yeah.
But had yet to like really go out and do it. So for Christmas, he was getting a ton of like really good records.
Yeah.
And an awesome record player.
That's nice.
So that guy, hey, whoever you are, dude.
Congrats. You just spoiled the surprise, though. What if he's an avid listener?
I doubt that he is.
Okay.
Judging by the purchases.
Don't judge.
The records were great records, but I don't think that demographic particularly would ever possibly listen to us.
I have a hard time thinking of what kind of music it was now. If you said they're great records.
Insane Clown Posse.
No.
I'm kidding. It wasn't really.
No.
Okay. I'll give one of them.
Okay.
It was a Led Zepp box set.
Okay.
Like this big.
Well, we have
big
people
box
that
set.
listen to us
Yeah.
that like Led Zeppelin.
That's true.
Even though we don't like Led Zeppelin.
No.
Don't get mad, God. Don't get mad. It's fine.
It's fine. It's okay.
It's fine. That
Everyone
I
is
don't
allowed
like
to
them.
like their own things.
You
Everyone's
can
allowed
think
to
that
do
we're
it.
stupid.
Well,
We
I mean,
are stupid.
a little bit.
But
We're naive. Are we
just,
naive?
hey, just let it roll off your back, guys. Just let it roll. Brush it off your shoulders.
Brush your shoulders off. Yeah. So, Vinyl Me Please. You can totally get someone the gift of music, and it would be very appreciated, I'm sure. Nothing Too Fancy is a store here in Knoxville, right off of Market Square.
Yeah.
And you can find them online at nothingtoofancy.com, and you can find all sorts of amazing merchandise, T-shirts and beard accessories.
You said accessories.
Accessories.
You said accessories.
I did say
I'm rubbing
accessories.
off on you.
Accessories. I can't, man, gotta quit hanging out with you. They are also the exclusive merchant of the Sharing Needles with Friends line of memorabilia.
Memorabilia.
And
Yes.
merchandise.
I like the word memorabilia.
I do too. It makes it seem like special.
Yeah, it does. But
it
you
is.
can go to nothingtoofancy.com. You can look at all that stuff. Everything's great. So if you got any holiday ideas,
Holidays. They're here.
you can go there.
They're here.
Holidays are here. And guess who else is here, Gene?
Holidays are here. Who's here with us tonight?
Mr. Andrew Lowe
Oh, that's right.
from the Insatiable, the Jazz June.
Insatiable Jazz June. When we spoke to guitarist Andrew, just mere
No,
weeks
Brian,
ago.
you're getting
Brian.
your words mixed
Oh my
up.
God, I am. We're talking to Andrew tonight.
Yeah,
Wait, are we talking to Andrew tonight?
we are. We have.
Wait a second.
We are talking. And
Wait,
have
whoa.
talked.
You're back to the futuring me.
Yeah.
In the past, we talked to Brian,
Yes.
but tonight
In the future,
we're going to talk to Andrew.
yeah.
Dude, my head just almost, I mean, literally two members from the same
Yeah,
band.
I know.
It's awesome.
I know.
It's awesome.
And especially a band that we both love.
Yes.
But while we're talking about Back to the Future,
Yeah.
I think Mr. Adam Morgan posted a video on Facebook the other day that was hilarious. And it was all the ways the Back to the Future movies prophesized the 9/11 attack.
No.
Yeah, it was.
Did it?
It's
Did
pretty.
was it pretty spot on?
It's a little bit of a stretch. It's
Oh,
a
is
little
it?
bit of a stretch.
Really?
Yeah, it's humorous. You should go.
Huh.
You should search that. And look
So
for
it wasn't spot on.
There's some things like there's couple things that are like, huh, that's weird, but then there's some things that are like, dude, you are really stretching for
It's
this.
kind of
right
like
now.
in that one book that Chuck Klosterman wrote, and I'm not a big fan of a lot of his books, but there was a section where he wrote about speculation that Radiohead's Kid A predicted the 9/11 attacks.
Really?
And he pointed out lyrics and whatnot, and I could be complete. It's been a while since I read it, and I think while I was reading it, I was so just kind of like, dude, come, really? And I'd heard that other places. I'd heard other people say, oh, if you listen to the lyrics of this song, it talks about something falling and this. And okay, you know what? You could probably take a record that came out any year and somehow find lyrics somewhere in a record that relate to a situation that happened in real recent events.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, songs are written about everything, and especially bands like Radiohead, they're so cryptic in their lyrics anyway.
Yeah.
You can make that stuff mean whatever you want.
It's true.
I don't know. It just that didn't really sit well with me.
Well,
I mean, I do think Tom York is a visionary. Don't get me wrong.
he's a visionary, but not that.
But I
that
don't
visionary.
I don't think that he would have called that without calling the U.S. government and saying, "Hey guys,
Hey, heads up.
this might happen because I wrote a song about it."
Yeah. Maybe he thought his way of letting everybody know was releasing the album.
Maybe, but it was so cryptic, no one knew. Who would have known?
Whose fault's that?
Oh man,
Exactly.
ours
Ours.
for not picking up on it earlier.
Well, let's go ahead and get into this interview.
Let's do that.
And talk. It's a great discussion.
It
Actually.
is. It was
it's like
amazing.
One of those where you're like, man,
I
could
felt like-
talk to this dude forever.
I felt like I had known him forever.
It's because of the Twixtergram.
That's true.
Twixterverse.
Twixtergram, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, I do really like when we started, like the very beginning of the conversation. I felt like I've known Andrew for years.
Yeah.
He was super easy to talk to, super cool guy. I think everyone will enjoy this.
I'm going to write a song that the meaning of it is going to make you realize that you have known him for years. It's
Whoa.
going to be really crazy.
Like, you're going to Inception me, basically.
I'm going to fucking Inception you. Hope you don't mind.
Might as well.
All right. Here's Andrew Lowe. Hello?
Hello.
How's it going, man?
Hey, how you doing?
We are doing pretty well. Got coffee, so that's always a plus to any moment, really.
Yeah. Coffee is a staple when it comes to podcasting.
Yes,
for us,
you
I
have
believe.
to have coffee, I think.
I am. You know what I'm doing? I am watching. Well, I'm not actually watching it, but on TV is this show, The X Factor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that show.
They've got the final on tonight, and right now it's One Direction with Keith fucking Richards.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's like, what are you doing, dude? Do you not have enough money? I mean, I'm sure they're paying him a lot, but it's
or
really...
dignity. There's that.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, that's awful.
I know, it's really, really bad. I'm glad that I'm talking to you now, because I was just about to kill myself.
I can definitely understand that if you were watching The Voice. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
or X Factor. X
Factor, yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking back to what we were talking about a couple weeks ago where someone from The Voice approached
Jason Isbell, yeah.
and said they would love
really?
to have him on the show. And it's like, wait, what? You're asking Jason Isbell.
Like they wanted him to try out for The Voice.
Yeah. Not knowing, and they claim they didn't realize, but it's like they claim they found him on the internet. So it seems like there are a million indicators that could have said, hey, this guy is already known.
Yeah.
And also here, look at his discography of 20 records, and then there's that. It's unreal, man.
Yeah, a simple Google search would have helped a lot with that.
It really would have helped and saved them a lot of embarrassment, because I'm sure that publicist probably got reamed a little bit. Like, really? You sent that? I mean, that's like... I almost equate it to, I don't know, like Ben Nichols from Lucero. Someone not knowing of Lucero and saying, hey, man, we would love for you to try out for this because we think you'd be perfect for it. It's like, I'm already doing... Yeah. I'm already doing what...
I'm playing tours all this year. Yeah. I don't think I'll have time.
I don't think I'll have time.
So is that one big over there, too, The Voice?
Oh, The Voice is unfortunately, really big here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Okay, because we have that here, but it's like pale in comparison to X Factor. I don't think The Voice does very well over here.
I think it's the opposite here. Like, I think we have an X Factor here, but I don't think it's nearly as big as The Voice or American Idol.
I mean, I want to keep on these topics because this is fun, just talking, because that's what we do. But so first I wanted to establish that we are talking to Andrew Lowe.
Yeah.
And you have a fantastic new record with your band, the Jazz June. And
yes,
Derek and I both absolutely
adore
love
it, dude.
Like, for us, growing up, and I think we told this to Brian also, for us to grow up wanting to sound like what you guys were doing at the time, like when we started our band, we were like, okay, yeah, that's definitely an influence. It's fucking amazing to now have a new record by a band that we loved so much. So, I mean, that's my little sentimental little bit.
Oh, thanks, man. I mean, it's funny because, what was the album was it The Medicine that you first heard? Or okay, yeah.
Well, I mean, it wasn't the first that I heard, but it was the one that grabbed me the most.
Yeah, because it's funny. I don't know if Brian touched on it a bit. I can't remember, but it's funny because a lot of people have said that The Medicine is like their favorite album of ours. But like when it came out, it was just like it came out, and it was just like, yeah, there's another Jazz June record out, just like this. You know what I mean? But it took like 20 years for people to be like, yeah, that one's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. I was on it at the time. It was incredible.
Incredible.
Well, I suppose like nowadays exactly what people think as soon as something comes out because of
exactly.
That's true.
Exactly.
Whereas then it's funny because I remember like one time go into the Initial Records it was kind of like a warehouse office thing they had, and they actually had like a press person or someone who worked there cut out like all the clippings of all the reviews of all the different records that they put out, and they had like a Jazz June folder, and I was like,
oh wow,
there's all these reviews. I had no idea that we had ever even been reviewed, because unless you subscribe to all the different zines every month, you wouldn't get you wouldn't have any clue unless it came out, in a magazine that you knew of. So, but yeah, nowadays you can just find out immediately. But like I said, I suppose that's a good thing too about the internet, is that, people can say, oh, you like this band? Well, check out the Jazz June, and you can listen to it for free.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's...
I mean, the whole shift is what, to me, blows my mind. Like, what it was like playing in a band in the early 2000s versus what it's like playing or just being in a band or being an artist, period, now, with the way that social media and the internet has become just this big... I mean, that's where people go. We used to just go to shows because we wanted to find out about new bands, so we would just go to shows when they'd come through town, even if we didn't know the band.
Yeah, now you can be a band, and you can be an established band and never leave your fucking house.
Exactly.
Pretty much,
It's strange how it shifted completely.
Yeah.
It flipped over on itself, and I'm not saying that the model now is bad at all. It's just completely different. Like, it was a game changer. The internet was a game changer.
Yeah, it's funny too, because Braid used to be the only band who I knew of that they would actually have like a mailing list, and before they went on tour, you get this little postcard that said like, "We're coming to your town." But yeah, the only other way you found out about shows was if you went to another show and someone handed you a flyer for the upcoming show.
Yeah,
and then we used to have something called Very Distribution, which is out of Philadelphia. So you get the Very Distro magazine that you'd hand out free at shows, and you just sit there and read every single one. It was like 30 pages long, and you would just read it and be like, oh, this one says that this band sounds like the Promise Ring, so I'm going to get that. It was just totally like you'd had to really put in the work to find out about all these bands, or hopefully see them live, like opening up for someone else. So but it's great for us as a band. I mean, I don't know, we've had a lot of time off where we didn't, that transition happened while we were not doing anything with the Jazz June, but now it's like I can sit on my phone and tell someone in Japan that I've got a new 7-inch.
Yeah, exactly.
This is amazing.
Yeah, directly too. I mean, and that brings to, we talked to Brian a bit about Twitter and how important something like that, and it's so silly. You think it's so
silly
mundane,
how important it is to have a Twitter account.
But it is in being a band now. I mean, there are tons of bands that don't have them and tons of bands that don't use it, and they're probably fine. But for awareness, I mean, there's so much by making friends through that type of social media. You can, you more than quadruple your audience.
Yeah, totally.
In an instant.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, I would almost feel guilty if I didn't, because, the guys at Top Shelf, I put a lot of work into putting out our album, and if we were just especially since we don't, we're not a touring, constantly touring band, if, we didn't put any effort in to help them promote it, then, which we used to not have to, we used to leave that all up to there wasn't really much we could do besides tour.
Yeah.
But now we can actually, be active and tell people and whatever you do, hashtags and links and all that kind of crap. Yeah. So I would feel bad if I didn't. I would feel like a slacker. Like, these guys put all this work into putting out an album, I'm just going to sit here and do nothing.
Exactly.
So it's kind of out of guilt that I've got onto Twitter.
Yeah. How did that come to pass, by the way? How did you make the album and then shop it out, and Top Shelf was like, oh, I'd love to put this out? Or was it something they came and approached you? How did you and Top Shelf get together on this one?
Well, I can't remember the exact time frame, but we did. Well, no, actually, what happened was Brian was like, "Hey guys, let's we've been talking about getting together and playing new music for years.
Yeah,
like after the because we played a lot when we did the benefit shows in 2006. We only played 3 or 4 gigs, but we played a lot in practice and stuff. And I think we probably even wrote a few things. And Brian had worked on some stuff with me. Like I had a sort of little studio space in Hoboken for a while, and he'd come up and we'd all work on some of his stuff. Anyway, so but yeah, but finally in like 2012 or whatever, when we finally were like, all right, we're going to actually do this because we all decided
it's time.
Like, yeah, and also because we all finally figured out. I mean, I had been using Pro Tools and stuff for years, but finally, like Dan and Justin were like, "Oh, right, I have a Mac and that has GarageBand, and I can just record something straight into my laptop." Like they realized it was easy, and also we kind of like got over the thing of like, well, wouldn't it be weird if I'm writing a song in my house and you're not there? So once we started do it, and it seemed a bit natural and didn't seem as weird as we thought it was going to be. Gassler went on Facebook and was like, "We're writing new music," and then I don't know, within a couple of weeks, or I can't remember how long. Kevin from Top Shelf was like, "Oh, I saw your post about new music. We'd love to hear it." And we're like, "Oh, I wonder who these Top Shelf guys are." And then that was like. Like the Narnia into whoa, there's like a scene again, because. It was like there was a scene that we were involved in, and then that was like all of a sudden all the major label stuff happened, and we didn't have a manager, so we couldn't get a show, and it was just all crazy. And that's about when we stopped playing. Not because of that, but that's just what was happening. And then it was like, whoa, cool. So we can actually, there's a scene and there's bands that are sounding kind of like what we used to sound like, and there's a whole community and stuff. So yeah, it just went from there. We went and did some studio demos at Headroom in Philly.
Yeah.
There was like 5 or 6 songs and sent it to them because we had these internet demos, but they sounded so shit because Justin was like, I mean, they're kind of funny because Justin was using like an electronic drum set. We were like, using like a guitar amp plug-in, so they sound really shit. But I was like, "Do not play these to Top Shelf." like Brian was like, "We have to play them some music." I'm like, "Do not play them these songs. They will think we're the worst band ever." So we finally went into the studio for 2 days and like just banged out, I think 5 or 6 songs, and then played it to them, and they then asked us to play their CMJ show. And then we had like the chat in the basement of St. Vitus where I was just like, so do you like the songs? Do you want to put an album? And they're like, yeah, definitely. And that's when that sort of came about where we actually put like some wheels into motion about recording the album and when we'd release it and what we'd do and stuff. So yeah, I mean, the songs that we did in Headroom were good, but we wanted to like do a whole album and it just felt weird to like use half songs from one place and half from another, so that's when we finally were like, okay, we're going to go to Gradwell and do a full album. So that was cool that it all came together that way.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I think your microphone might have just got covered up somehow.
Or, something.
Oh, sorry, is it okay now?
Oh,
yeah, you're good now.
Way better. Yeah.
Okay.
For some reason, you just got super, super muffled.
Like it sounded like it was a serious moment.
Yeah.
Like, it's like everything just dropped down. We can put some dramatic music behind it. And
there's definitely going to be dramatic music behind it. So,
and
I mean,
then,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you continue.
No, I was going to make a dumb joke about like, and then, but behind the scenes.
There's always a behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Always. So what took you to London? Because that's where you're at currently, correct?
Yeah. Well, basically, I was married to a British girl, and then we moved over here about 2007.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then because we were together for 4 years, then I could get a permanent visa.
Mm-hmm.
So first I came over on like a working visa, and then I got a permanent visa. And then, so I can stay here basically for the rest of my life. But we split up, and now I've got a great new fiance, and we're having a baby on the way in April.
That's awesome!
Congrats, man!
Congrats.
So like it was all worked out really well in the end. But yeah, basically because of the marriage thing, I was able to get this visa that it's like indefinite. I can't vote,
stay.
But
yeah, but you can at least live there.
Yeah, I can't. I can still vote in the American elections, so I still do.
That's
like
nice.
I still do that. I mean,
That's
like
awesome.
I voted for the last presidential one and stuff, but
that's awesome.
But yeah.
That's really cool. I was just curious, as to how the transition happened. That because I was taken when I found out that you lived in London and no one else does. I was like, wait, how did that happen?
Yeah.
Like, wait, no. Has that always been the case? No.
Yeah. No, I mean, basically after, because we all went to Kutztown, Pennsylvania, the university there.
Yeah.
And then after, I mean, that's kind of a reason why we kind of stopped playing as much as we were, because we were touring like every spring break, every summer break, every winter break. I mean, I remember doing like whole U.S. tours. It was so stupid because we'd book like a 3-week U.S. tour, which you guys know if you're going from like, Chicago to like Boulder, Colorado, you know what I mean? You play a show, get in the van. I mean, everyone does it, but we did it in the winter, and all of a sudden we'd hit like some place in North Dakota and be like, there is 10 foot of snow on this road.
Oh yeah, we know that.
We're missing. Yeah.
We've been there.
Yeah, totally. You're like, we're missing the next 3 shows. Yep. This was really poorly planned.
I remember one time we were on tour and it was winter and we were like, oh man, we're getting super lucky. We're not running into any snow or anything. And then we go through the desert in Arizona and it is a fucking blizzard.
It was awful.
Really?
It was ridiculous. It was scary because there was nothing around. Like I don't even know if there was gas stations like
wasn't
50
a
miles
person
apart
for miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You do get that sense of, like, the Wild West when you're out there.
Yeah.
I try to tell that to people, like, in the UK, because they're like, okay, so I want to go to the US for a week, so I want to visit New York City and Chicago and LA, and then I want to go to Mexico. I was like, motherfucker, you need, like, 3 months to do that.
Seriously.
It is a big old wide, country if you're going to take a drive around.
Seriously, and it changes so much.
Yeah.
I mean... And I know that driving through Europe, you can go from town to town and things change quite a bit. But here, the landscape just like completely, it's unreal.
Well, this is the thing too, and a lot of people ask me, because I guess the one thing that a lot of people sort of make fun of Americans for over here is that they say like only like, I don't know, whatever, 20% of Americans have passports. And I'm like, yeah, but I mean, okay, so I lived in New Jersey. If I wanted to go to the city, I would go to New York City. That's an hour away. If I wanted to go skiing, I would go to, Vermont, which is 3 hours away. Like, and it would cost me a third of the price of flying to Germany or Switzerland. You know what I mean?
That's
so it's
true.
like, it's just that thing that people don't get how big America is.
Exactly.
And how, you can. I mean, I lived on the Jersey Shore, so it was like the beach. New York City was an hour away, and then the mountains in the winter. So you kind of had it all. It's like you don't really need to go anywhere else unless you want to see obviously culture, which is important. But I'm just saying,
fuck culture. Ugh, culture, gross. Oh
man. Okay, so now you're there. How did the songwriting process start with this whole idea for this record? Like, did you have a bunch of solo stuff that you were working on, or did you kind of have in mind, like, hey, I want to write a new record, and I'm going to try to get these guys involved? Like, what brought the idea on?
Well, I guess I was playing in bands. I mean, I've been playing in bands ever since, and like writing music ever since. The Jazz June stopped playing a lot. But a lot of the stuff I started to get into like more sort of garage rock and more back into more punk rock stuff. I was a band called Wake Up Dead for a really long time over here, which is kind of like Ramones-y kind of stuff.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, and then it's funny because I think like I don't know exactly what happened. I remember like my friend, like a really good friend of mine, Will, who was like our roadie for a long time. We went to school with him and lived with him. And I like wrote him a song for his birthday. I was like, and sent it to him. And that is Over Underground was the actual what it turned into.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, I wrote this for your birthday. And then after that, I was like, you know what? I really miss playing like this style of music because I've been playing, like I said, really sort of more punk rock kind of stuff. And then from then I was like, I started to write more songs like kind of in that vein. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll do like a record with some guys over here in London. But I did play with a few different bands and stuff, and really fun guys. But it just was never like the same kind of feel, because first of all, they're British. They don't get exactly the American sort of indie thing per se. And then right sort of around that time, Brian was like, listen, we need to play some new songs. I was like, well, actually have like 5 songs written that would probably work really well. I mean, they're kind of different from the old Jazz June stuff, but I don't know, if you guys like them, we can use them. And I sent them a demo of like 5 songs, and they were like, yeah, cool, we like this. And we started to like work on them slowly. And then Brian started to write stuff and he would send it. And then I would kind of work with him with the lyrics. And he like he'd send me a riff and I'd write some lyrics and then I'd like maybe add a chorus or a middle eight or whatever. And it just started to piece together. Like I said, once we started to do it, we're like, actually, this is working really well.
Yeah.
Let's do an album or let's do a actual EP, or I think at the first instance it was going to be an EP, but that's kind of how it all came about.
That's
really
awesome.
Well, man, there's something to be said always for, getting together with everybody and banging it out and writing music that way.
Yeah.
But it seems like when you have like everyone's on their own devices and can sit and put like conscious thought into each detail of their own part, you can get a lot of great stuff from that too. And that's what I feel like on this album. It's like everyone had time and space to craft what needed to happen in these parts separately. So I think that came together really well for After the Earthquake.
Yeah, I think like it's kind of annoying because I think Brian would say the same, that like me and him spent like hours and hours like working on like guitar parts and my vocals, and he's got a lot of amazing guitar lead stuff on there. And then Justin is like super busy, like he owns his own design company. He's got like 5 or 6 employees or more at this point. And he would like sit there for an evening and just bang out like the best drum part ever. You know what I mean? In like 2 hours, you're like, damn it, how do you do this so quickly? It takes me like 3 months. So, and I've always been that way. I mean, the song Shortchanged on the album, like Gassler wrote that one like 8 years ago or something crazy. And I've been working on my vocal part for that ever since then. Like we've revisited about 4 or 5 times and I just could not like make it work. We actually even recorded a demo version when we went to Headroom, which is actually one of the version of Over Underground is the one that was on the Dikembe split. And I even recorded vocals for it then. I was like, dude, the song, it's just not working. And then finally when we got into the studio, I figured it out. But yeah, I don't know, it just takes a long time. So really, like, some of these songs I've been working on for a really, really long time, and I think that's probably why they feel a bit more like cohesive. Because, I think also we did a lot of editing, like, songs that just didn't work, we didn't use, whereas maybe some of our old albums is like, okay, we recorded an album, then we went on tour, let's write some new stuff. We might have like recorded the first 10 songs that we wrote, because we put out so many different releases back then. So, if you have the time, it's kind of like, like there's that thing about a first band's album is always like the culmination of like their
years
first
of their writing.
Years.
Yeah.
And it's almost like since we had that time off, it's like almost like going back to that point where we're kind of like
coming at a brand new approach.
And over several years writing the songs that were on that album. So I really like it. And the funny thing is that I feel like I can say that because of the process of how it happened. I mean, we went and recorded demos online that, like I said, just sounded crazy and weird and like on different drum machines and stuff. And then we went to the studio and recorded it. And then when I got back, they sent me like a mix, and I was like, oh my God, this sounds so good. Like, I hadn't actually heard these songs before. It was like a brand new song, almost like they're sending me this finished mix. So it's been like really cool in that way, because a lot of times when you're playing songs over and over and practicing every week and playing them live, you're kind of almost sick of them by the time
because you're so close to it that it's, you never have a separation from it. And
and like people will be like, that one's a great song. You're like, oh, is it? I don't know.
I know Brian told me when we talked to him, but who did you record this with? Did you record this with
Weiss.
Evan?
Yeah. So he was the producer, and a guy called Steve Paponi, who co-owns Gradwell House in New Jersey, was like the engineer. And they're definitely like those two roles. Like Steve was like getting sounds. I mean, Evan knows about that stuff too in his work, but Steve is like a master of like getting tones and sounds and like, the recording. And then everyone would be like, here, you try this guitar, try that guitar. And it was like really cool to have those two influences there. One was like looking at it from a musical perspective, and then the other guy was more of a technical perspective.
Right. I like everything Evan's done recently.
Yeah,
man. He did a really great job on that You Blew It album. I think he did Xerxes as well, and
Yeah, it's great, and it's cool to have that because like we recorded with Jay Robbins for the Medicine.
Oh, yeah.
And he was doing both, and he was just like running back and forth, and you know what I mean, like he did an awesome job, but like to have two different people kind of like putting their heads together in two different ways just makes it come out. Yeah, it just makes sure that every detail is like worried about.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So I asked Brian this, so I'll ask you as well. On this record, or just in general, on your, let's say your pedal board, is there an effect or a component in your rig that you could not live without, or that you use the most?
You know what? Like these days, I've used so many different guitars because like whenever I go over to the States to play, I don't usually even bring my own guitar, so I'm just like at the mercy of whatever I can use. Like I'll borrow stuff from friends. I'm always using house amps. Like I've gotten really good at playing a whole variety of different guitars and amps.
I've gotten really good at playing everyone else's stuff.
Yeah.
It's the easiest way to do it, really.
I always feel like other people's stuff sounds better than my stuff too.
Yeah, because they take care of their stuff. I just like throw guitars around. I own an amp right now, but it's at my friend's house. It's been there for a year.
Oh wow!
But I usually
you may not own that anymore. I don't know what the law is.
Yeah,
but,
I don't know about the UK and like
you may not own that anymore. In fact,
no, I need to check. I'll have to steal it back.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, like, it was a really funny moment, and because I get really, really stressed out. Like, I love playing live, and I do get a bit nervous, but like as soon as we play the first note, like I don't care, and I really get into it. But the studio stresses me out so bad.
Yeah.
And I remember like having a moment where they were asking me about. They were like, play like a C, like put the capo on and then play the G up high, and I was just like, I don't know how to do that. And I remember just like kind of putting the guitar down and be like, listen man, I'm just a glorified singer who plays the rhythm guitar, okay? Like I'm not a good guitarist. I mean, everything I write is really simple.
That's the dude. I'm the same way, man. If anybody ever tells me to say, okay, hey, just play like
play a D minor diminished
something over there, or why don't you hit the C chord? I'm like, dude, hum it for me. Just let me hear what do you want? Where do you want it to go?
Yeah. Put my fingers in the position that you want them to be in, and I will strum. But yeah, I'm totally like that. It's like I've gotten worse at guitar over the last 20 years, which is weird. Because I listen to like some of the earlier jazzy and stuff. I'm like, fuck, I can't play that anymore. I don't even know what I was doing. Like, when we try to play some of the old songs for the shows, I'm like, I wish I would have taken a video so I could actually look at what my fingers are.
That would definitely help.
Yeah, but I mean, I play all the time. I mean, some of the songs on the new album, I would spend like an entire weekend, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, try to work it out. So it's not that I don't actually play my instrument. I just do the same things over and over. Mm-hmm. But that's how I write. It's all really basic. I kind of like. I think it was like one of my favorite bands, who I've liked since I was little, and I still was like listening to him the other day, Superchunk.
Oh, my God, I love Superchunk.
I just really, really love that band. And it's like every time I try to learn something, I'm like, this is just 3 chords.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they just, they're awesome musicians, but like structurally, the songs are so simple. I'm like, well, I'm just going to use 3 chords. Fuck it. Why should I use any more? Like, why complicate something that is so good? Like, they are such a good band. They've made so many albums.
Totally.
And I, these days, I kind of work on a lot of songs. I'll write the vocal harmony first and then build the song behind it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's an interesting way to do it. Like come up with, because see, for some reason, I can't give myself, when I'm writing, I can't start with a harmony unless I have lyrics to throw with that. Like I'm not good at just kind of like humming something out and thinking, okay, cool. Yeah, I can fit lyrics to that later. I have to write the lyrics that fit to what is going to be in my head after I write them. It's so weird. Like I'll have to write the lyrics down or have an idea of what I'm going to say before I can even start on a melody. It's
like
I've heard Derek humming stuff before. He'll write something and he kind of hums a melody. I can't do that for some reason. I don't know what it is.
I have to have a line and a melody before I can write a song.
I have to have the line first.
Usually.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of the way I am. A lot of times it's like I think what happens, and I always feel like one day I'm gonna get sued or something. But like, I think like
I've been using other people's lyrics, and I don't think anyone's going to notice.
Yeah. I'm just singing them in a British accent.
Right.
No one knows it.
Here's my new song, Blitzkrieg Bop.
Yeah.
But like basically, because I'm I get obsessed about certain albums, or like when you're just like listening to something on repeat for days and days and days, and then like that that moment like right before you wake up in the morning, but you're kind of still awake, but you're not. So many times like a melody or something will come to me, and I'll like sing it on my iPhone, and then like I'll go to work and I'll kind of be thinking about it all day, and then I'll come home and actually play guitar. But I know it's probably something that's like an amalgamation of a whole album or like a song that I'm just like singing in a different way, but I don't do it on purpose. But I think that's like what happens. It just like gets into my brain and then gets churned around while I'm sleeping and gets spit out in a different form.
I wish I could do that. That would be awesome.
Dude, I do that all the time. Like I've had this like little thing pop in my head sometimes, like, man, if I had like a car wreck and died, and,
oh God!
And then someone got my phone, I'd be so embarrassed because there's so many fucking audio recordings of me just going do 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 do.
I thought you were gonna go somewhere else with that. If someone got my phone and went into my photos,
so many dick pics, but that's not what I'm worried about. I'm worried about the audio recordings, man.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, like, my girlfriend makes fun of me all the time. She goes, she'll just be like, "Let's listen to one of your recordings that you made," because it'll be like. And like she just laughs so much, and because she just can't understand how that turns into a song. You know what I mean?
Because you're taking the Anthony Kiedis approach at this point, and you realize that you can just say random noises and make weird things happen, and for some reason people will say, "Oh, I get it. Yeah, I totally get that. That makes sense."
Steven Tyler approach.
Either one, but I mean, I think Anthony Kiedis is the worst. Like, I sometimes have really wondered. Okay, so did he just not have a third verse for this? So he just decided to just make noises over it.
Yeah,
and he said, "No, guys, trust me, I'm gonna have a verse by the time we go and record this. I got this. And then they hit record, and he's like, "Oh shit, I didn't write that part."
That's how you get songs
and he just starts doing it, and it's like, stop, man. That's just don't.
Yeah, I think that dude's just been so smacked out for so many years that sometimes they probably just have to prop him up in front of a microphone and go, just do something.
Well, isn't that one? He has that one. I don't remember. I think it was on Californication where he had that one song. It's like, I know it's true. Wing ding dong ding dong.
That's what I'm talking about.
I was like, what? How did this get recorded?
That's where the second line of the verse would come, not random noises.
Guys, like this. We could have an entire podcast devoted to this, because me and one of the guys, Glenn, that I'm in a band with, we like almost have devoted our lives to like talking about Anthony Kiedis.
Nice.
There are so many funny YouTube videos.
Dude.
My favorite one is when he's like, "Hi, you may wonder why I'm out here at 5 a.m. on the beach in California, because I want to talk about like the environment." It's like, no, it's because you're fucked up on cocaine. You haven't gone to bed yet, and you had a really bad idea to come out to the beach and make a rap about the environment.
Oh my God! Does he have a channel on YouTube? Does he like have a legit YouTube channel that he like posts to regularly, like a vlog?
No, it's just like stuff. There's so much on there, and it's just like him and Flea coming up with like these horrible white man raps and stuff. That you're just like,
God.
oh, dude.
God, I don't know how that's even like how. I mean, I guess it's on YouTube, so they don't really have control over what goes up there. But like some of that shit, that's got to be embarrassing. I mean, I can't even imagine. Like, I'm just singing their stupid lines in my head, and I'm thinking, God, that's awful.
Yeah.
I would hate for anyone to hear me ever do that. Like, even if he did that as like a demo to do what you guys do, is like throwing a melody down, that's different.
Yeah.
But to never go back and finish it, it's like, either you're really lazy or I don't know where you're at.
Maybe it's just bad production. Maybe he goes in the studio, is like, okay, here's the vocal, the melody idea. I'm going to put some lyrics here. No, dude. Just leave it like that.
Maybe.
That's perfect.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I doubt it. I'm going to have to check out his videos on YouTube. I didn't know
Dude, you just send us into a rabbit hole after we get off the
which
phone with you here.
Happens so often.
You'll be there for days, man. It's such good value. Like, it's just so
man.
funny.
He does. Like, every interview I've ever seen with him, I mean, and the same can be said for Noel Gallagher.
Yeah.
Like, they just seem like overly eccentric, interesting people. Like, the entire time you're watching it, you're like, dude, you are so weird.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, the other part of you says, but I get it. Like, I see where you're coming from.
Sorta.
Like,
Yeah. I mean, like, Noel Gallagher is like a national British treasure. Like, all you have to do is go, Noel, what do you think about this? And he just says the most craziest but funniest shit you've ever heard. You know what I mean?
it's almost always spot on, too, though. Like,
yeah.
he's a little egocentric.
A little.
But, I mean, but he can back it, in my opinion. I'm a huge Team Oasis, Team Noel fan. You know, I love everything the guy does. And, I mean, I don't know, maybe I just get it. He says things and I'm like, dude, right on. People would normally never say that. A lot of people would normally filter themselves. You don't, and I fucking respect the shit out of that.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I love the fact that, like, he had that whole video where he just watched all the Oasis videos and made fun of all of them.
Yeah.
And he was just like, he's like, what the fuck is that? A guy with sausages for legs? Like, I can tell you right now that song is not about a guy who has sausages for legs.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Although I just had a great idea.
Yeah. I will be right back.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, I've gotten sucked into the Noel Gallagher rabbit hole many times. Liam as well.
Liam's a different kind of crazy.
Oh yeah, that's a whole different kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But it's still amazing. I still can't help but get sucked in and think, hey, he's got it right in his own head. He knows exactly what's up.
Yeah, Liam is a whole other thing. I remember I think there was an article that someone from one of the papers over here wrote, and it was basically Liam's new BDI album came out. So they had like this little event, I think it was in a movie theater or something, where they brought all the press there to have like a listening sort of party, and someone just wrote down all of Liam's responses. So like they play a song, and he would just yell out, "You're welcome."
Oh my god! Of course you would.
Have that, and they'd be like, he didn't actually respond to these next two songs because he was in the bathroom basically doing another line of code. You walk in and be like, "You're welcome, thank you very much."
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Oh,
See, that's why I love that guy. It's incredible. I only wish that I could be half that, like, confident in myself.
Well, sorta, but at the same time, it's like, man, that's a little bit too
Because
much
I have
love for
zero
yourself.
self-confidence at all when I write
That's
music.
like the opposite end of the spectrum, though, dude.
I know, but I would meet him in the middle, and I would take some of it.
Okay.
Just some of it would be acceptable.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I suppose there's probably like somewhere in between that would probably be a bit more acceptable. But I'm happy for him to be his insane self for my entertainment.
Yeah, someone's got to do it. It's true. If I'm not going to go crazy egocentrical, someone needs to do it and let me laugh at it. So...
Yeah, and they do, like, they're always just kind of making a point where, like, Noel will just be like, there's no good rock and roll bands left. And you're kind of like, yeah, you know what, he's kind of right, you know?
Yeah.
He's kind of just saying stuff that you're kind of thinking. But
you just don't want to admit to. It's like,
when
you start thinking about it, you're like, no, he's right. There really are no good rock and roll bands anymore. Fuck.
See, I disagree. I think there are a lot of the good rock and roll bands.
There are some good rock and roll bands, but, man, when it comes down to, like, really powerful bands that really stand the test of time and connect with you, I can't think of the only band that comes to mind right now as far as a band right now that's relevant and current that I think in 20 years from now, whatever, people are still going to be like huge on is Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be a band that goes on, and in 20 or 30 years from now, people are still going to be super into it.
They'll probably still be releasing albums 20 or 30 years from now, too.
Probably.
Yeah.
But I mean, I see that with them.
I mean, it's hard to say because, like you said, I don't know. It seems like all the big bands that are still around are just the ones from the past getting back together. I mean, there's probably a lot of exceptions I'm not thinking of, but as far as like mainstream like rock, you know what I mean? Like if you had like I don't know, but like at the time, no one appreciated Led Zeppelin. I mean, they were like a teeny bopper band, but I don't know. I feel like if if I was around at the time, I would have been like, yeah, they're pretty fucking good.
Yeah, I would have probably been.
Yeah, these guys are all right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's got a good beat. I can dance to it.
Yeah. Oh god.
Oh man.
That's the
So,
important part.
are you planning on coming over to the States anytime to tour? I think, don't you all have like a little regional tour thing set up sometime in the near future?
Yeah, actually, it's not too far away. December 20. Well, it's like December 27th. We play at the St. Vitus in Brooklyn. Then we play DC the day after. Then the week after that, we play Boston and Philly. And the Philly show is looking. I mean, they're all awesome, but the Philly show, we're playing like 2 shows, a matinee and an evening show.
Yeah.
Nice.
Matinee is obviously all ages, and for that one, Field Mouse is playing, and then the evening show, Prawn is playing.
Oh god.
Yeah, and then also we just found out there's another band playing. I wish I could remember, but then they're called Joyride, I think, which is some of the guys from Up, Down, Down.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
And then we just like kind of, I think we're in the works of getting one of the dude from Franklin's got a new band, and they're going to be playing one of the shows.
Nice.
So, we're playing with a lot of cool bands. The whole thing's with Field Mouse, but then there's like some other local bands, like up in Boston, a band called Vela, and then in St. Vitus is a band called Damn This Desert Air. So yeah, it's cool. That's another cool thing about sort of social media is like I've already sort of talked to these dudes online already. So it's like when I get to the show, it's not going to be that I already kind of know a bit about them. So it's like, again, that sort of community thing, which is cool.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I do like that aspect of the social media. Now, there's parts that annoy me, like I don't care what these people are thinking like 24 hours a day. But then you get the opportunity to like meet people that you would never ever get to meet, get people to...
No, totally.
It's awesome. And you get to see how much you have in common with people that are, a long way away. It's like true. The other day, I think you sent me that Seam album. I've been listening to that fucking Seam album ever since then because it's just one of my favorite things.
Yeah, it's funny too because I'm like Mr. 1997. Like I just kind of got into podcasts.
Yeah,
I've been listening to a few of your podcasts, which I really like, and there's a few others like Going Off Track I listen to all the time.
Yeah,
and there's a guy. From the band 10 Lines, it does one called No Effects. But the funny thing for me, it's like I love it because there's a lot of, it's like such a specific thing that I love so much, and there wasn't necessarily an outlet or a medium or a website for that or podcast. Where now, like, I can listen to these podcasts and people are talking about these really specific bands.
Yeah.
That from really specific scenes because you don't have to have $1 million to have a magazine anymore. So I love it, and also for me, it's really because I'm in London. I mean, I have a lot of great friends out here and stuff, but I really like listening to it because it's like, oh, those are some like dudes from back home. Like, I kind of miss that sort of American, everything like from the accents to just the way people talk and all the bands. Some of the bands, people would have no clue if I was talk about like a New Jersey, emo core band from like 1996.
Exactly.
No one in the UK has any fucking clue who they are, but I can like hear people talking about it, and just like it's really nice. It like cures my being homesick or whatever.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I love podcasts just for that reason too, because I mean, one reason Derek and I started it. I mean, I love listening to interviews, and I mean, reading them is fine. Yeah. But there's so much that can be out of context in that like, I would rather just hear people have a conversation about whatever. Yeah. If it's someone that I, look up to and I want to know about, I'm going to learn about them. Yeah. And that's listening to it while I'm doing like driving in the car, for example. I listen to podcasts so much in the car because I've had years and years and years and years of just listening to nothing but music. Yeah. So it's nice to break it up every now and then, especially road trips, like when you're taking a long drive or whatever. It's great to have something like that because you get engaged and you become like kind of a part of it. Yeah. In my day job, I sit in front of a computer all day, and there's only so much music I can listen to where I'm like, man, I don't even want to think about what I want to listen to right now. I just want to hear someone talking. Yes.
Yeah, it's like you said. I mean, I mean, sometimes if I'm at work, I'll be listening to my headphones, like almost the entire day. And there's not enough music in the world to keep for, every day of the year to keep me entertained. And having like podcasts is just a great way of, like I said, because it's about music, or maybe it's about, I listen to like The Moth and things like that, where it's like stories. But I mean, at some points I get to the point where I'm like, I sit there and I get on the train, because I've got like an hour commute, and I'm like I'm like, do I listen to the new album or that new podcast? It's like, what do I do? I only have an hour. Which one can I choose?
Only one of them. And then I have to wait the entire day for the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's getting that way where I'm like, shit, I've got to, which one is more important? Which is going to be more, but yeah, I think, and also with like you were saying, context, like the internet has destroyed like context. I mean, there's so many things that you can say as a joke, and especially like with our Twitter feed or something, there's loads of people on there who, I mean, on Facebook, it's like I'm friends mostly with people I know. So if I put some stupid sarcastic thing, they're gonna get it. Like, But like not long ago on Twitter, I put up a thing about Earth Crisis, a song they had. It was a total joke, but like all these people were like, "Whoa, dude!" And then and then like the band got in touch, was like, "Dude, what are you talking about?" And I was like, "No, you don't understand. It was a joke. I'm just kidding. I like your band. You know what I mean?" It became
man.
And then like Tom from Washed Up Emo wrote like a little story about it. I was like, "No, you guys, you don't get it."
Man.
Like, I like this band. It was just a total joke, and I don't care.
Yeah.
So, but like you said, when you you get more of a personality, especially with musicians, like a personality of like what they're like, which is cool because, I like to know a lot about, if I'm really into an album, I really want to know everything about the band that I can find out. Because it's just something that really interests me, so.
I'm the same way, and I'd rather hear it as opposed to just read and read and read, because again, it's the internet.
Yeah.
If you're just reading it, you don't know.
Well, also, and like a podcast, it's like, I mean, a lot of interviews I do, people will send me questions and I'll answer them on email. So there's no like real room to discuss something further, or like if you're talking to someone, it's like you might go off on a tangent, but that might be like a really important thing because like you don't know what happened, but if you're asking me really questions that aren't related to that, I'm not going to be able to tell you it. It's not, you know what I mean? So when you have a conversation about it or an interview, it's just always going to lead to something a bit more interesting and a bit like off the beaten trail,
I always think the best part of interviews are the tangents that happen after the question's already been answered.
Yeah, exactly, because then it takes it somewhere personal to where everyone can relate to something, and that's my favorite part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone likes to just bullshit about music, and that's what I like to hear. I like to be like, okay, I like that the way they wrote this album, but I really loved when they talked about how much they loved Seam in the 90s.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, it's great. I think it's cool. I mean, how long have you guys been doing it for?
About a year.
It's like exactly almost a year. Like this will be our 99th episode.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. And like, is it pretty easy for you guys to do? I mean, as far as record it and then you just chuck it online, or is there a whole process you have to go through? Or
it's pretty easy. We don't really edit anything at all
ever. Yeah,
so that takes a lot of time out of.
We do that a lot for artistic integrity, because everything that gets said will fucking get said. Because I don't want someone coming to me and saying, "Hey, man, I listened to the podcast and there was a thing where I talked about this thing and it wasn't there."
Yeah,
like I remember talking about it though.
Yeah.
I don't want any of that. So it's completely unedited. We just make it, and then we usually record intros to the podcasts that are about to air, and
make sure the levels sound right. And send it on its merry way to the internet.
Yeah, to the distributor. We send it to our distributor, and they send it out to everyone.
And that's cool, because then it probably doesn't cost a lot of money, so you can talk to people like me who have like about 3 people in the world who actually want to know what they're talking about. But it doesn't matter. There's no
come on, man.
No, but you know what I mean. Like even a site like Pitchfork or something. I mean, they have so many viewers, and they have like huge advertising clients that they probably at some point I'm not saying they do this, but I would imagine bigger sites, like let's not even say Pitchfork, but like bigger sites probably have to think about, is this really going to get like, I'm spending a lot of time on this. Is this going to get traction and get me like clicks for my advertisers?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
We're more concerned about talking to people that we think are really fucking cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, if other people dig it, then awesome.
Yeah.
yeah, and like I said, you have the sort of freedom to do whatever you want because it's not a huge expense.
Exactly. No, there's like hardly any expense at all. Just like
except for all of the gear you need to do it properly.
But,
yeah.
But luckily we had most of it because we've been writing and recording music for decades.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've collected a little treasure chest.
Yes, we had all of the necessary parts, and we've upgraded some stuff since then, but we had everything to start, and that was it.
Well, we've been asking everybody that's been on here lately, since it's that time of year, do you have any albums that have stood out to you this year as far as like some things you've listened to more than anything this year? Favorites?
Top list?
Yeah, I've actually spent a lot of time on this since you said you wanted to ask me the question,
nice.
so I'll try not to go on for too long.
Oh, go on as long as you want to, man.
Okay, so I think the only thing. Okay, so when I was thinking about the albums, because I think my top 11 I gave to one of the sites, Brooklyn Vegan or something, and I was like, well, I can only talk about 5, but I want to talk about them all. But I was like, let me pick out the ones that I listened to them all, and I was like, which are the ones that I think I'm going to be listening to in another 5-10 years?
Yeah.
And then I looked at my list and I was like, well, a lot of these are on like a lot of people's lists.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I want to stick with these 5, but I'm going to explain like why I think these are the best albums that I've listened to this year. So the first one I want to start off with is the Strands of Oak album.
Oh, yeah, God, that guy's crazy good.
It is. It's incredible.
Yeah, and like, you may know this story, but for the benefit of the listeners, basically, when I sort of did a bit of research on him, basically he moved from Indiana back to Pennsylvania to marry his high school sweetheart. So then I think they got married. He goes on tour. She cheats on him.
Oh, man.
Yeah, right? So bummer, obviously.
Yes.
And then he was living in like Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, which like, no offense to anyone from Wilkes-Barre, it's not like
we have a big Wilkes-Barre demographic. Just be careful.
It's already probably a pretty depressing place to live to begin with. And then he comes home one day and his entire house is burned down.
Oh my God!
Whoa!
So then he's sleeping on in hotels on park benches while he's working at like a school during the day.
Oh my God!
So then he finds a new girl that he marries, and one night they're driving home and they hit a patch of black ice and they go fucking head first into 2 big semi trucks, and he breaks all of the ribs on the right side of his body, like breaks his shoulder, like all this fucked up shit happens to him. So the fact that this album is called Heal is probably like the understatement here. And I think that comes across like in so many of the songs where you can really feel him like working through all of these things. Like the actual song Heal itself is all about, seems like his breakup from his wife. He's had so many things happen to him. And I think all that like intensity has come through. And I really like a point in the song, is it Shut In, I think? I had this written down. Where he's just like, I ain't talking about money. I don't want to talk about love. And it's like this like primal scream. It's like you know Rocky 3 when when he goes up into like Russia to train, and he's like the one day, he's doing all this crazy shit. He's like pulling like a whole like sleigh full of logs and stuff, and he's just like really getting hardcore. And then one day he runs to the top of this mountain and he just goes, Adrian. And that's like the total feeling I get from like some of these songs where he's just like, it's just this rage that is coming out. But the fact that it's called Heal, I think, is obviously him like working through these things, and also the production. Like his voice is just like, it's like he like reminds you of Bruce Springsteen, like that really gravelly, awesome voice, and some of the songs like the heavy synths. I just really love the album, and also like the first song I heard from it was the first one, that Goshen 97, where it starts off with like a Jay Mascis guitar solo. And I was sitting at work one day and I heard it and I was like, what the fuck is this? What is this? You know what I mean? I was like, I know that guitar line, but I don't know that voice. And I looked into it and I was like, oh, Jay Mascis is just, you know, and that's how I found out about him.
Yeah.
It's like, I really loved it. It was just like that, hearing this song on the radio that like really brought me in. And then I just started to like listen to it and just love the album. I've been listening to it constantly. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's definitely on there. The other one is the Sharon Van Etten album.
Oh, yeah.
There. And she's really, well, I have like basically a little story. Basically, I was in a band called Snakes and Music in between sort of the Jazz June and the Jazz June Now.
Yeah.
And we played this little, it wasn't really a festival, it was like a day show up in Massachusetts. And I don't know, there's probably like 50 people there. It wasn't anything big. It was like a VFW hall. But it was a really cool show. And it was like a lot of hardcore bands. And we were kind of like this indie, almost alt-country Wilco kind of band. And I think like 2 people after us, Sharon Van Etten played. And this was like years and years ago.
Oh, man.
I don't even know if she had an album out yet. And I remember watching her and I was just like, this girl is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And I went up to her after the show. I was like, listen, because she was playing acoustic. And I was like, we will be your backing band. Like, you are amazing. I love your songs. Like, it's great. Like, I will happily step down as songwriter. Like, you know, we'll help you out. Whatever you want, we'll play gigs with you. And she was like, oh, thanks. She was really, really sweet. And she was like, well, I'm kind of working with this guy, Kip Malone from TV on the Radio. I was like,
man.
oh, right, okay. But, like, the thing is, I really loved her that day. But over the years, like, I never really listened to her albums. Like, I might have listened to a song or two. But it wasn't until recently that this album came out, and I saw these people talking about it. I was like, yeah, shit, that's that girl, Sharon Van Etten. Like, I should check it out. And I listened to it, and I was like, holy shit, this is such a great album. Like, again, like, the production, apparently she produced it herself, which is amazing.
Yeah.
It sounds amazing. Like, every guitar and, like, all these little weird drum machine things that come on. And it's like, again, like the emotional intensity of the record. I think I read somewhere that, I don't know if it's true, but I think someone speculated that she had been in like a really abusive relationship, and just like some of the lyrics in there are just so intense, you know, where you're just like,
just
you know,
like
you
raw
feel like
emotion.
Exactly.
Yeah, like you're looking in. She's like letting you into this situation that is so fucked up. And like, if that had happened to me, I'd be like, that's the last thing I want to talk about. But
yeah,
she's obviously like, I don't know, the process of going through it. You know, she wrote about it in such a way that you can feel like you're kind of there in the moment. But I also like some of the like goofier stuff, like in this song, Every Time the Sun Comes Up, she's like, people say I'm a one-hit wonder, but what happens when I have 2? I wash your dishes, but I shit it in your bathroom. It's just like, you know what I mean? And it's just cool too, because it's like a woman talking about taking a shit.
Yeah.
It's not like the most attractive thing, but it's just like honest and real, and I just love that.
Yeah,
you know?
that's amazing.
It becomes attractive because it's so honest.
Yeah, and it's like, who fucking cares? Why does a woman always have to portray herself as being this pretty, gorgeous thing? Especially in pop music, it's like, you know, all they talk about, you know, they're just like showing, you know, parts of skin. And I just really, it's really cool that she's willing to like, again, open up these horrible things that have happened, and then also just like talk really honestly about stuff. So that's definitely one, you know, that I'll be listening to. The next one that I have is the War on Drugs album, which I really love.
Yeah.
There's nothing really here to say, but just the fact that like, I feel like he's making sweet love to me every time I listen to this album.
Yeah.
I was going to say solid songwriting. Like that's...
Yeah, just really great. And I know this whole like feud with Sun Kill Moon has been going on.
It's so funny to me.
which is just
amazing.
I mean, the dude,
because I love Sun Kill Moon. I love Red House Painters. I'm finding all of this. I mean, I'm a long time Red House Painters fan. I mean, I remember the first time I heard them, I was like, this guy.
Yeah.
This guy is... And I just last night, for the first time, listened to Benji.
Oh, it's great.
The new Sun Kill Moon record. And the very first song made me literally, like, tear up a little bit. Like, he has a way with writing songs that, like... He doesn't just stab with the knife. He's twisting it all over the place. Like, that guy is so talented that it almost makes me wonder how someone can have this much dark in them to put this out.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know. I mean, I've listened to Benji a bit and Red House Painters a bit. I don't really know that much about him, but yeah, I mean, he obviously is screwed up in some way. But maybe
Yes.
you know that's obviously why. Maybe that's also why he's such a great songwriter. He's just got some inner demons that he's really wrestling with. And I actually really liked how the guy from War on Drugs dealt with it, because at first he kind of like ignored it, and then he was like, "Dude, this guy's a douchebag. What is he doing?" You know. And then eventually he like said that Benji was one of his favorite albums of the year, and it's like that just takes like a real sort of like stand up guy to kind of like go through all that publicly and then just be like, well, you know what, he wrote a fucking good album, so I don't really care.
It's
you know
true.
what I mean? Which
Yeah.
is because no one actually cares what the guy from Sun Kil Moon thinks about the war on drugs. You know, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And
No, not at all.
it's like, I don't know if that's a press thing or maybe he's just a bit screwed up, and then maybe we should feel
the way I
bad.
look at it,
The way it comes to me is that this is a sense of humor thing for him.
He's having
And no one gets it.
right. He's having a laugh, but no one quite gets like what he's trying to aim for.
Yeah.
But at the same time, in his head, he's like, "Come on, guys,
Come
quit
on."
being so fucking serious. I'm just having fun with you.
Like, come on, get into this with
exactly.
me. Come on.
I think he's trying to antagonize for them to retaliate, to kind of start, you know, what they have in hip hop, you know, like the feuds where they write songs about each other back and forth. That happens so much in hip hop where they write about each other always. I think he's just looking for, you know, hey, indie rock never really has this shit, so let's stir it up a little bit. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Now what? What do you got?
Yeah, and also I've heard stuff about where he'll like play a show in some trendy neighborhood in like Brooklyn and just be like, "You're all a bunch of sheep." You know what I mean? He's just like a very outspoken guy.
Oh yeah.
And I guess he just doesn't give a shit. You know
Not
what I mean?
at all.
You kind of have to admire from, and you know, he's got an opinion and he's saying it, whereas a lot of people, you know, you're afraid to say what you really think
Exactly.
because
It's
you're
another
gonna get
Liam
this
Gallagher
huge-
situation.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say he has been beaten up a few times,
Probably.
for his opinion and or, you know, saying something like that at a house show and then leaving.
Yeah.
I would almost put a lot of money on this that there is multiple times he is not a stranger to an ass whooping.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, or at least fighting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could be
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah. Well, yeah, it's better to do it in public and blatantly than go
Yeah.
online as a pseudonym and
That's
write
right.
a comment on a YouTube. You know what I mean? Like
Very
on a
true.
YouTube comment. So, hey, you know, that's up to him to do what he wants to do. But yeah, anyway, War on Drugs. I really like the song Red Eyes. I don't really connect with the lyrics on that album as much as I do some of the others, but I like how he goes, "Woo!"
Yeah.
So that's what I'll say about that. Okay, the next one is I think it's pronounced Always, A-L.
It's
DG.
actually okay. Me and Gene
dude.
battle on this all the time.
I say always.
It's actually Always, but there was already a band called Always,
Okay.
so they just put two V's together.
But my retaliation to
I
that
like to
is,
call it Always.
You know, it's if you're going to actually spell it that way, technically your band is called Always. I'm just saying that's what your band is called. You can say it means always. You can say whatever the fuck you want. Your name is Always. It is. I mean, I'm sorry. That's it.
It's kind of like that band Dive. They spell it D-I-I-V. I'm like, oh, it's Div. It's like, well,
Yeah.
you're making me say that word. If you want to be
Right.
Dive, spell it the right way.
I
don't
say
get
Div.
it,
yeah.
but- yeah.
I've never referred to them as Dive ever because it's not how it's spelled.
I didn't even know it was Dive.
And so
Yeah.
I was talking to
Yeah.
someone maybe a month or two ago about Div, and they said, "Oh, who?" I was like, "You know, Div," and they were like, "Oh, Dive," and I was like, "No, it's not what it's.
No,
it's not what it
motherfucker,
says.
it's Div.
That is not what it says."
Yeah, and then immediately the same thing happened to me. I think I was listening to a podcast or something. And they're like, "Yeah, it's," and I was like, "Oh, right, that makes a lot more sense."
I mean,
but yeah, it's still weird. It's confusing.
It
I mean,
is.
you know, we're simple people. Let's make
Exactly.
it easy for us.
Spell it out for us. You know,
Yeah.
just let us know what it is.
So Always, we'll call them then. So she is from the Rankin family, who apparently is a big Canadian country music family. They've won a lot of awards up in Canada. So she comes from a long line of songwriters.
Yeah.
Which you can fucking tell, because she could write, like, the vocal harmonies on that thing are amazing, and I think and also the production as well, because it's a bit like lo-fi.
Yeah.
And it reminds me a bit of like, I mean, I know you guys are into like the old '90s like Versus stuff or Velocity Girl, and I know you guys are big Pity Sex fans as well. It's like that, when you put like a female sort of vocal to like a kind of indie or low production or weird production thing, or like what was the other band that we were talking about on Twitter? The girl
Jessica Leah Mayfield.
Yeah, like you have that seriously heavy, crunchy guitar and just like this like angelic voice. It's just like for a second your eyeballs like switch. You're like, I don't get this. You're like, oh my god, this is the best thing I've ever heard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's incredible.
So I just think that like the Always song that it's just dripping in harmonies. It's so catchy. And I think again that's one I'll be listening to a really long time.
Yeah.
And then my last one is the Angel Olsen album.
Yes.
Yeah. Which like I just love it. I mean, some of the songs when I was listening again, you get sort of the end of the album and it's like her voice, a reverbed guitar, and like all of a sudden one piano note comes in. It's like so simple. But
it's unbelievable.
It's a very delicate album.
It's really
it's just so perfect.
It is her voice. I mean, her voice is unbelievable.
And I don't know have you guys seen when she did the NPR Tiny Desk?
Yes.
And you're just like
unbelievable.
Like her voice, it's like Buddy Holly. It's like something from the past.
Yeah,
I mean? So
very much so.
Harrowing and like just incredible. And like again in that scenario, she's just sitting there with like a guitar and singing. But and it's great that whoever, I don't know who produced it or who worked on it, but whoever did was just like totally didn't obscure the best part about it, which is just like her voice reverbing through every song.
Exactly.
Like,
and if
very simple.
Have you traveled back and listened to her prior LP and EP that she had before?
No, I've listened not the whole way through. I didn't really like it as much.
I was going to say it's if you go back, and this shows the difference in producing.
Yeah, like
I love those records and they're really good, but I don't listen to them nearly as much as Burn Your Fire. Like it just there's for me, I connect with the way this record sounds a lot more, and the others. And I mean, I love raw. Yeah, I love records to sound really raw, but they just have a different type of rawness to them that is, I don't want to say an acquired taste because it's really, really, really good music. Yeah, it's just you have to be in the mood for it. Yeah, at the time.
Yeah. I mean, I was really bummed because we played that Fun Fest down in Austin. Yeah. And she played on the Sunday, and we left. That's the day I left.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So I've never gotten to see her, but definitely someone I want to check out live because, it's just like, there's certain band, like every band that I've talked about on my list, like has something great about them. But with her, it's just all about the voice, man. And the songs, I mean, the songs are really, really cool. And even, again, some of her lyrics are really intense as well. Mm-hmm. And like, you just kind of like, a lot of them, you're just kind of like climbing inside of some scenario, and you're just like, I don't know. I just love it when a song does that to you, just like puts you in a place where you're almost like building like the scene in your head. You know what I mean? And that's just like a really powerful thing that, if you can do that with a song, then you're fucking doing the right thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, with those last two picks, I'm going to give you a suggestion that I think you might enjoy. Okay. Have you heard the band Beverly?
No, I haven't, no.
Okay, they released an album this year called Careers, and the album's great. It's really, really good. But you've got to hear the song Honeydew on that album. It's probably my favorite song that's been released this year.
Really?
It's unbelievable, and it's just something about the way it carries itself. It just makes me want to keep hitting replay on it. It's so good.
Yeah, cool, man. I mean, there's been a lot of good stuff this year as well. I mean, the Beach Slang EPs, amazing. And we played with them at CMJ, and I was so excited to see them. And like, they just totally blew me away because not only do they have awesome songs, but James, the singer, was like just like doing like jumping kicks
Yeah.
Just like doing solos with a beer can, swinging his guitar around. such an amazing band, and such a really, really nice guy. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember like meeting him backstage because we had, again, like before the show, I was like, "Hey man, I really like the stuff. I can't wait to play with you guys." He's like, "Oh yeah, you too. Like it'll be a great show." And then I saw him, and he was like, "Oh, I'm really glad I actually got to meet you." You know, he was like genuinely, happy to meet me. Like just a person like that he met online. He's like, I really want to like make sure. He's just like such a genuinely cool guy that like, I just love everything that I love Weston as well. I think Gassler talked about this one, so I won't go on too much. But the new Stephen Malcolmus album is so good.
We got it,
It's
Jackbacks.
really good.
It is. He's
Yeah.
always great, man.
Yeah.
I'm such a Pavement fanboy that anything
Yeah.
Malcolmus ever does, I'm going to be behind.
Yeah, and I think this one, I think I've heard all of his solo stuff, but this one, for some reason, it's just like, it's really loose and free, and
Yeah.
like they're doing a lot of guitar stuff, but the songs, again, are just so good, and like, like this pop sort of sentiment or element to it that just makes it really catchy and listenable.
Yeah.
And the only other one I wanted to talk about was Caribou.
Yeah.
Yes, God.
For really, and I got to see him this summer in I went to Barcelona for this big festival of which name I cannot remember right now, but sorry, it's called Sonar, and I went and saw him there, and it was before the new album came out, and he played mostly stuff from what's the other one called? Swim? No. Yeah.
Swim is incredible.
Man, the light show and everything I like at one point I was like leaning forward, like almost plugging myself into like the speaker because it was just put me in this like trance, and I've seen him a few times, and he's been really, really good. And also another one that was really good at that gig was Moderat.
Moderat,
yeah.
God, dude, I love them.
Gene is a huge Moderat fan.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they were amazing. I hadn't heard them before, and I was just like, "Whoa, who is this?"
Two
and also
separate bands, actually. It's Mode Selector and then a guy named Apparat, or that goes by Apparat. And Moderat is what they started at. Like, let's see, Mode Selector is a German duo, and then Apparat's just one guy. And then they just kind of collaborated on this, and they've put 2 records out, and both have been fucking incredible.
Yeah.
I've listened. Yeah, I need to like listen to it more. I've heard some stuff on Spotify, but I haven't actually got like some of the albums. Also, Fortet played at that festival, which is amazing.
Oh God.
So, yeah, it was a really great.
This sounds like a
lineup.
festival that I would probably love.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, and you know what? Also, another thing that was like really good was it was Royksop did a set with Robin.
Yeah.
It was like from like a sort of pop perspective, I'm like, this is what Lady Gaga is trying to be.
Exactly.
Like, so catchy and so pop, but like really almost like performance art, but in like a really stylishly sophisticated way.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was an amazing festival. So that was like a highlight of the year as far as live stuff.
That's awesome.
And there's this band that's over on your side of the world called Childhood that had an album called Lacuna this year.
Okay.
It's super awesome, like
It is really,
dream pop.
really good.
It's like the dream pop side of shoegaze, I guess, but a little bit more normal pop rock mixed into it.
Yeah.
It's super awesome. It's probably my number 1 of the year.
Really?
It's so hard to get it here. I had to fucking get it shipped over, and it
was expensive.
It's expensive as hell, but well worth it.
And they're from the UK.
Yeah. This is their first
Okay.
full length. They've been a band
Right.
for a few years, but did like I guess small EPs and singles. But this is their first full album, and it's great.
Cool, man. Yeah, so Beverly and Childhood, I'll be listening to those tomorrow at work.
Yeah,
Check it out.
yeah, man. Well, we're not gonna take any more of your time, dude. You care if we play another Jazz June song from after the earthquake?
Yeah. Anyone you want to play, or do you want me to pick?
I would rather you pick it because it's more fun when we get to play a song that that you would personally say is your favorite, or that you would choose, to represent the record.
Okay, this is really bad, but I'm gonna have to go on my phone and tell you the name of the song I want you to play. It just like totally slipped my mind when you asked me.
Before we do this, I want to ask a question. I think I was reading something, maybe an interview you did about Edge of Space. Is that about the space
I was
jump?
just about to bring that up.
Yeah, that was like basically, yeah, it was like inspired by that, because I remember reading like a really awesome article in the Guardian the next day about it, and they were talking about, basically it was like this massive feat of humankind, but also there was like this backstory about how someone on his team had his wife had died in like the Columbia space shuttle crash.
Oh, wow.
Oh man.
So yeah, so he and I might be getting this slightly wrong, but basically it was like he then devoted his life to developing like suits for astronauts to use when they go like in high altitudes, because there's all sorts of crazy stuff that happens when you have when you're in high altitudes. So he was also on the team that like helped Fearless Felix jump out of, I think it was like 25 miles or something like that. And also it's kind of there's a funny part in the song. Well, there's this part in the song where it says the sponsors keep calling when I push the brand real hard.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like a funny joke. Well, funny joke I was making, like because I could imagine that like Red Bull, like the marketing,
Yes.
the marketing guys, like, oh, why don't you can you make sure that the helmets and the shot, the logo, you know what I mean? This guy's like trying to jump 25 miles from space. So like, hold on, we don't quite have like the branding needs to be in place before you get up there. And how about you go 30 miles? I mean, we could call it the Red Bull 30. That would be like a lot. But yeah, it's kind of inspired by that whole story, because I was imagining, the sort of guy on the team, just like thinking about his wife and Fearless Felix. He's got like, he could have died. It was just like it's basically inspired by the article. I should know who wrote it, but just about how intense this whole experience was. And how
awesome.
But then apparently like some guy from Google like just beat his record, which is kind of a bummer. But not long ago he jumped like 27 miles or something like that. But he's like a Google executive or some dude who,
and he just wanted to break a record.
Weird.
So he had the money. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's basically what happened there.
Yeah. So
Google's a bigger sponsor than Red Bull, man.
Yeah,
They got more money to throw, I think.
I guess so, man. I guess so. So the song I wanted you to play, because I feel like we haven't like given this one as much attention as maybe it should deserve. Like, we hadn't released it as any singles, but the song With Honors, which is the third song, I really like that one. I think like the chorus came together really well, and also my friend Naomi sang on it with. She's from here. She's in a band called the C&I. And I just really like how it came out, and it's kind of like, I thought you guys would like it, because I know you talk about how you sometimes just like to hang out with your bro, like have an excuse to drink beers with your friends and start a band. But this is kind of just like one of those drunken like anthems, I guess, that I hope that people will be singing drunk in the bar one night late at night or something.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sweet.
That sounds very good.
Well, dude, we super appreciate you coming on here and talking to us. We've had a great time, man.
Absolutely.
I feel like I could probably talk to you about 90s music and music in general for hours on end, but
yeah, man. No, it's great because I was jealous. Like, after I listened to the podcast that Brian did, I was like, oh man, these guys seem really cool. I wish I had.
I want to do that.
It's like, hey, anytime you guys want. It's funny because it was right after I had done this interview with a guy who had no idea about the Jazz June. I mean, he was about like 16 years old. I don't really blame him. But the funniest thing was I talked to him for about 15 minutes, and this was in person. And he was like, I was talking about the album, and the band, and then after like 15 minutes, like, he wasn't recording anything. I was like, this is weird. Maybe he's just like remembering it all. And he goes,
no.
"Oh, I thought you were the manager. I didn't realize that you were actually in the band."
Oh my god!
Oh shit!
Yeah, and I was like, "Is it because I'm old?" Like,
oh my god!
You think I'm too old to be in a band? That's the most depressing thing.
That's
I've
fucking
ever-
awful. Jesus.
Yeah, so and then I hear Brian was like on with you guys, laughing and having a good time. I'm like, I want to
have a good time.
Dude, that is upsetting.
It is. It's unreal, man. Oh god.
I'm glad you got to
know,
come on and
me too.
have a good hearty chat with us.
Yeah, I remember checking the message when you sent it and said, "Hey, if you guys ever want me on the show, I'll do it. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, fuck yeah.
Why not? Yeah, yes.
Like, there was no thinking about it. I think if you remember, the reply happened within like 2 minutes of you sending it, because I happened to look down. I was like, yeah.
Of course we do.
Absolutely.
Well, next time we're in Knoxville, we'll definitely look you guys up and go
That
get
would
some
be
beers.
awesome.
Yes, dude. Absolutely. All right, man.
All right, man. Have a good Sunday, and thanks again. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks,
All right, man. We'll see you,
Take
dude.
care.
Cheers, bye.
And I know it was me who cut you up. I've been drunk for so long that I should have just kept my mouth shut. A half moon mouth that swelled and swallowed the deep of this blue evening, and the hands of my watch read 11:30 p.m. now. And I know it was me who fucked it up. I've been locked up so long that I should have just kept my mouth shut. If I could try it, just stand up, no, sit back down to sleep on my shoulder, to lie awake here, to lie awake and take it in, 'cause I'm sick and I'm bored and I'm angry and I'm tired, but I just can't get enough out of you. 'Cause I'm sick and I'm bored and I'm angry and I'm tired, but I just can't get enough out of you. And all this waiting around, there was nothing to see. The light flooded in and the black blew out with the breeze, and the wind brought the night down to its knees. Fires burned and lights went out. The